Everybody thinks the stock market crash is coming, not maybe, not someday, but soon. But if everyone knows exactly what is coming, why hasn't it happened yet? And the real question is, what if the biggest risk isn't the stock market crash, but it's what you do before it happens? Now, right now, the market has been hitting all-time highs again. Stocks keep pushing up, even with wars, inflation increasing, economic uncertainty, we are still seeing the market go. And at the same time, investors are saying they're super nervous. Headlines are flashing us warnings, and one key indicator has been flashing red. Now, this is called the Buffett Indicator. It compares the total value of the stock market to the size of the US economy, which is crazy because as the size sits right now, it's about 227%. It's not normal. It's not healthy by any means. And that's what Warren Buffett calls we have entered danger territory when it comes to the stock market. The translation of all this, stocks are priced way too high than the economy can actually support them. And when the gap gets too high, eventually something within the system is going to give and it's going to break. But here's where most people do get this wrong. This is not telling you when a crash is going to happen. It just tells you the system is very stretched. Expectations on earnings are very high from these companies, and the risk continues to build in the portfolio because markets don't just crash when everything is super expensive. They crash when something forces it really back into reality and makes it do the rebound or makes it do the correction that we've seen of the past. Right now, we have three very, very specific things that are holding up the market and holding up a lot of the growth we're seeing in these companies. Number one, AI hype and massive integration with AI. It has super high expectations, massive capital flowing into a handful of companies, and even a majority of these companies are actually feeding a crazy amount of money into other companies to continue to develop. When we start looking at data centers, when you have Meta building data centers, Alphabet, when you have all of these large companies building data centers, all of those data center chips are coming from one or two sources, mainly looking at NVIDIA. With all the chips that are getting there, we see the infrastructure, we see the build and the support that comes between it. Number two, liquidity of these companies. Money is still pouring into markets. The wealthy are getting much, much richer, especially through passive income. We're seeing these with the investing side coming from a lot of companies, looking at 401k plans, looking at people starting now at a younger generation, starting 18, 19, 20. Even the younger generation is really caught on board with investing and passive investing. I do this every single week through dollar cost averaging, putting money into the market. And number three, the profit growth. Corporate earnings are just crushing it. They are rising faster than the economy is, which again is kind of crazy. They are making so much money. This is where it creates a very, very dangerous illusion when it comes to the market because everything looks fine. Company profits are there until it isn't. So let me show you and let me explain how this could actually play out as we're starting to look in the future and looking at past performance. So in 2000, everyone knew tech stocks were overvalued. This was the bubble. This was the dot-com burst. Did the market crash immediately? No. It kept going higher. It continued higher. It kept pushing higher until, of course, it didn't. In 2008, we seen the exact same thing. People saw the cracks in the housing market. They seen these mortgage-backed securities. They seen issues. They seen warnings everywhere. Did they get out in time? No. A lot of people didn't, and they lost everything because the system held together right up until it broke, until we seen it really do a pullback. And then again in 2020, the market was hitting all-time highs right before one of the fastest and sharpest crashes we've seen in history, of course, tied to the coronavirus. And then we've seen another very strong rebound in 2022 as the residuals for that kind of did come back. The patterns have always been the same. The risk is very slow to build, and then it breaks suddenly, and we see a big retreat in the market itself. Now, let's talk about the real risk. It's not the headlines. It's not the projections. It's fragility in the market. And really, the market at this point is very fragile because it is very heavily concentrated with a few of these mega cap stocks. When we start looking at NVIDIA, when you start looking at Google, when you look at Alphabet, when you look at all of these mega cap companies, they are about the top 10 of the S&P 500 is roughly 30 to 40% of the entire market itself. Valuations start to be a lot more stressed. Growth assumptions are very aggressive, and people keep investing in these companies like crazy that means it might not take much time to break once it starts kind of coming apart. And we're already starting to see those early warning signs, especially the red flags that are being thrown up from Warren Buffett. Large institutions are repositioning, they're changing their structures. Hedge funds are adjusting their exposure. They've even started doing this to a lot of the private equity markets, moving a lot of money out of there, and market leadership is starting to get a lot more narrow. It's not a crash at this time. And knowing what is going to be coming, it is the pressure building within the market and within the economy itself. Now, let's get to the biggest myth that we see investing. You can't predict when a crash is going to happen. Not you, not Wall Street, not hedge funds, not anyone at all. These overvaluations can last for years. We've had 3 years of double-digit growth. This year, we're looking at another year of double-digit growth. Markets can keep climbing way higher than they should be for much, much longer than they should be. And when the crash happens, that's it. They're triggered. It goes down. Interest rates shock. Credit tightens. Earnings come in disappointing. Soon as we start seeing some of those companies that are actually missing earnings or underestimating earnings, then all of a sudden investors start getting a loss of confidence in the market. So if you can time it, what can you actually do since it's impossible to actually time the market? Now, this is where most people fail. They either panic early and they sell out of the entirety, or they ignore the risk completely. But let's make it real, guys, and let's keep it real, because there are two investors that we are going to see when the market does this. Same money, same market. Investor number one sees the headlines, the crash is coming, sells everything, he goes to cash, and he completely waits for the market and waits for it to happen. Could be days, weeks, or even months before the crash is actually here, before the crash actually does happen. Meanwhile, the market still goes up. He's missing those gains. He gets super frustrated. So he buys back in, now at a much, much higher price, right before, in the day before, we see the big drop. Now, investor number two doesn't panic, doesn't guess, stays invested through the entire time, but adjusting the risk. And that's exactly what I did, keeping flexible, understanding what he owns, the company he owns, and exactly why he owns those specific ETFs. The market drops. We're not shocked, and I will not be shocked. I'm prepared, and I'm actually prepared to invest more when we see that market correction. Same market, you are going to have completely different outcomes between the kind of investor you are. Smart investors don't predict the market because honestly, it is impossible to predict exactly what's going to happen. I want to be more prepared with my portfolio, know my exposure, and know my risk factors when it comes to investing. That means owning quality assets, owning those big companies that I talked about, avoiding extreme concentration within a couple companies. This is the reason why I own ETFs and I do not own individual stocks. Really limit some of the flexibility in there and stay very disciplined, because when a crash comes, it's not going to feel obvious at first. It'll feel confused. There'll be uncertainty. It'll be unclear. And it might look like maybe this time it's different. Maybe it's not going to go to, negative 10, 20, 30%. And of course, this is when people make a very big mistake. And the truth is, and what people don't want to hear, the crash is not the enemy. The crash presents the biggest opportunity when it comes to investing. Every major crash, 2000, 2001, 2002, all what we've seen have created astronomical wealth for the people who had some money sitting on the sideline that deployed it when it was down 30 to 50%, because it was the people who were ready that were really prepared, because the crash does not destroy wealth. They transfer it from really the unprepared, the people who panic sell, to the people who are prepared that had the money sitting on there. When a price drops, you're getting it at a discount and you're getting assets, companies. They don't become worthless. They just become worth less in the short term. It becomes discounted at that time. And then the problem becomes most people don't see it that way in the moment. They see the losses, they see the fear, they see the adjustments in the portfolio, they freeze and they sell. But you and I, experienced investors, we see opportunity because I've already decided before the crash, I know exactly what it's going to look like and I know exactly what's going to happen when that happens. That is the difference, not intelligence, not timing. It is preparation. So of course, the real question becomes, when this happens in the market, what are you going to do? What exactly is it going to look like? Because the investors who win aren't the ones who predicted the crashes. It is the ones that absolutely survive them and capitalize on this moment. Now, of course, guys, if you got any value from this video, definitely hit that subscribe button, like it so it gives the algorithm something to feed it out. Share it if you think someone else needs to see it. And as always, thank you guys for watching.